Alright guys, Chelsea here, and so far in this passage we have in detail looked at some of these moves, specific moves that Mulcahy is making as part of this big chess game that we're playing, that Mulcahy is trying to play. The president isn't really playing it very well. But some of the moves that Mulcahy is making is he's, obviously he's arguing for salary increases, he's arguing for a lightening of the teaching load, he's pointing at waste and mismanagement. So all these sorts of things that might genuinely make the college better. Okay, so you could argue maybe these things will make the college better. And the president, on the other hand, it has to look like the bad guy. Okay, so this is very important. This is part of our persuasion world stuff. If you, Mulcahy, you stand up in front of, the whole faculty meeting, right? So the whole faculty's there. It's very public. And you stand up and you say, oh yeah, I think that teachers should make more money and we shouldn't have to work as hard. And, this waste and mismanagement should be fixed over here. Well, the president has to say something. The president has two options. He can say, okay, sure, here's some more money. Or he says, no, you can't have more money. And he doesn't want to give more money for whatever reason. Maybe they don't have money at this college. He doesn't have enough money to increase everyone's salary, enough or whatever. Maybe he just is greedy and doesn't want to, and he wants to pad the bottom line or something. Okay, fine. Either way, it doesn't matter. If he wants to say no, he's going to look like the bad guy. No, I don't think teachers should get paid more money, and teachers should actually have to work more hours, not less. Well, that makes you look like the bad guy, and that's the game that Mulcahy is playing. He's backing the president into a corner where the president has to look like the bad guy. Everybody's going to be against him. So obviously the president's going to fire him because the president doesn't want to look like a bad guy, right? Now some of these things are starting to make sense. But Mulcahy says this letter was in consonant with the simplest precepts of strategy. What does that mean? Rules of the game. Rules of the game. You, Mr. President, you're not playing against the rules of the game. Okay? So we're playing this chess match, and there are rules. Maybe this piece can only move in this direction, this piece can only move in this direction. But it's more than that. It's more than that, right? We're talking about strategy. We're talking about, okay, if you're playing a game of chess and you make some very silly moves, your opponent would kind of laugh at you, like, ah ha ha, you made a silly move, and that's actually going to cost you the game, right? So this letter is apparently a silly move, a stupid move. Mulcahy doesn't think it was a good move. Why? Why? Because if the president already looks like the bad guy at the faculty meetings, one after another, so many faculty meetings, he already looks like the bad guy. And then he comes out and he says, yeah, I'm just going to fire this guy. I'm going to fire Mulcahy. Done. Well, then you're going to look like a worse bad guy. I mean, I don't know if you've ever heard the phrase, creating a martyr, right? But that's what you're kind of doing here. You have this, knight in shining armor, Mulcahy, standing up and saying, oh, I'm going to fight for more money for teachers and better working hours for teachers and all these things. I'm going to fight for these things. And then the bad guy, President Hoare, comes along and says, no, I'm going to fire you. And you're creating a martyr, right? So what that means is Mulcahy is going to suffer a whole lot, right? Usually martyrs would be murdered, okay? But in this case, he's going to get fired. He's going to suffer a whole lot. He's going to have to go away from the college. But everyone else at that college is going to think to themselves, man, Mulcahy really fought for us and the president fired him. What kind of a person is the president? Now I don't have respect for the president anymore. I don't like the president anymore. Whatever it is, right? It's going to get ugly. It's not going to be good for the president. And that actually makes sense. I mean, we can think about that ourselves and say, oh, okay, yeah, I see. Maybe he shouldn't have openly fired, the Mulcahy in a way that everyone knows, okay, yeah, you just, got rid of your biggest competition here. But here's the big kicker, right? And you guys just had this question, and I want to really drive this point home. What is it that you could have done? Like, if firing him, you really want him gone. Okay, so you're the president. You don't want to look like the bad guy anymore. You really want him gone. What is it that you could have done to, be inside of the strategy, to play the game, but still try to get rid of him? Well, there's all sorts of things, right? And so hopefully you came up with an example or two, maybe a couple. But, you can take away some of this teacher's privileges, right? So maybe, you could maybe say, oh, well, we're having budget cuts, so we had to cut your salary. You could cut a salary a little bit. You could say, yeah, we have to give you fewer hours this year or something like that. So professors are always trying to get this thing called tenure, which basically just means that you can't be fired no matter how much you suck. Professors are always trying to get that. Maybe if Mulcahy really wants tenure, then the president can say, well, I don't know if I can consider you for tenure this year because we're really not having to try to have, people who are causing a lot of problems be tenured professors. See, now the game is afoot. Now the game is, well, Mr. Mulcahy, do you want tenure more than you want to cause a bunch of problems in these faculty meetings? You have to pick one, right? And so then maybe that actually gets Mulcahy to shut up and to stop causing all these problems at the faculty meetings because he wants his tenure, right? So there's bargaining chips that you can do, and you can do all this behind closed doors. You can also do some kind of crappy things, like maybe you would say, oh, okay, unfortunately, we had someone come on staff that is in a wheelchair, and so I need to give them your parking space, and I have to move your parking space way back, so it's like, quarter of a mile away from the building, right? And unfortunately, I really hate to do this, but it's for this person, it's a really good cause, all this stuff, okay? So then, if Mulcahy throws a fit, then Mulcahy is a guy who's going against someone in a wheelchair, and then Mulcahy looks like the bad guy. Now that would be inside of the strategy, right? Because again, it's this back and forth, what can I force the other person to do based on what they want, based on what I want them to do, like all this stuff, okay? So those sorts of things, that's what we're looking at here. There's lots of options. There's lots of different things that you could do. But playing the game, right? Playing the game in a way that is also smart for the president. Because then, maybe, Mulcahy gets so annoyed that Mulcahy decides to quit. That's awesome! That's amazing for the president. The president wanted him gone, and now Mulcahy quit himself. But if Mulcahy quits, then Mulcahy looks like a quitter. Right? The president doesn't look like a bad guy. Mulcahy just looks like a quitter. Yeah, this was our guy. He stood up and fought for us in faculty meetings, and then he just quit. And he left, and he's not our guy anymore. That's the thing. That's what we want to have happen, right? So, are any of the motivations on either side super good? That's irrelevant. That's not the point, okay? This is a strategy game, and we gotta force the other side. We have to force our opponent to do what we want. So that's what we're kind of thinking about. Let's take all of this, and let's attack a few more problems with this particular passage.